Angeles, and you're watching Eagle News International on tonight's headlines.
Okay.
A shooting at a Virginia school, leaving a teacher with life-threatening injuries. In custody is a 6-year-old student. Republican favorite, finally, Kevin McCarthy is named Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives as he quells a fierce rebellion among his party's ranks that had paralyzed the lower chamber of Congress for days. And President Marcos apologized to passengers affected by the air traffic system outage at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport on New Year's Day. He ordered Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista to fast-track the negotiations with equipment suppliers for the upgrade of the airport system. And a severe weather heads towards Northern California just as the state tries to recover from this week's storms. It took 15 tries, but finally, Kevin McCarthy is the new Speaker of the House. McCarthy was always the front runner to lead the Republican-led House, but his victory in the small hours of the morning was almost derailed by a right-wing revolt in his party that extended the contest to a historic 15 rounds of voting. Take a look.
That the total number of votes cast is 428. Of which the Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California has received 216. Hakeem Jeffries of the state of New York has received 212. Therefore, the Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives.
McCarthy had projected confidence all week, even as he was bleeding votes rather than adding to the base of around 200 Republicans who have backed him all along. The minority Democrats had continued to vote in unison for their leader, New York's Hakeem Jeffries, the first black person ever to lead a party in Congress. Friday was the first day that Mr. McCarthy's vote count actually surpassed that of Mr. Jeffries. Now, this came after a dramatic pressure campaign played out live on the House floor as party rebel Matt Gaetz was urged to vote for Mr. McCarthy. Mr. Gaetz had just delivered the fatal last vote that left California's Kevin McCarthy 1 vote shy of the bare majority he needed to win the gavel, after the flamboyant Republican had spent the long roll call maneuvering to make himself the last vote that mattered. Instead of the anticipated victory on the painstakingly long trek through 14 ballots, Gaetz voted present. Let's listen in.
McCarthy. Gaetz. Present.
As you can see here, Mr. McCarthy had been hoping to secure the gavel in the 14th voting round before midnight Friday, but suffered a shock setback amid astonishing scenes of Republican infighting as he came up short of a majority by just 1 vote out of more than 400 cast. Now, as Matt Gaetz voted present to deny McCarthy the gavel, the disappointed Republican leader went over to talk to the Florida lawmaker-elect face-to-face. The Alabama congressman had to be physically restrained by colleagues as he bellowed and jabbed his finger at Mr. Gaetz. Gaetz pointed a finger at McCarthy, who began retreating as Alabama's Mike Rogers lunged at Gaetz and had to be held back with a restraining arm across his face. A gasp went up across the entire House chamber as lawmakers realized how close they were to something that could have turned into a physical altercation. Now, the tensions came to a boil because so many had been told by McCarthy and his leadership team that he had secured the votes to finally win on that particular ballot. Now, Mr. McCarthy was always the front-runner to lead the Republican-led House, but his victory in the small hours of the morning was almost derailed by this right-wing revolt in his party that extended the contest to a historic 15 rounds of voting. Now, the Speaker wields huge influence in Washington by presiding over House business and is second in line to the presidency after the Vice President. Take a look.
I may not know all of you. Some of you are new. But I hope one thing is clear after this week. I never give up.
Of the office on which you're about to enter. So help you God.
Yes, I do.
Congratulations and Godspeed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully the duties of the office on which you are about to enter, so help you God. Congratulations. You are now members of the 118th Congress.
Now, as earlier said, the Speaker wields huge influence in Washington by presiding over House business and is second in line to the presidency after the Vice President.
Allegiance to the same.
And breaking news out of Newport News, Virginia, tonight there was a terrifying shooting inside and outside of Rich Neck Elementary School. A female teacher was rushed to hospital with life-threatening injuries, and the student, we now learn 6 years old, was taken into custody after the shooting. Take a look.
I want parents to know that the school is safe. All the children inside the school have been taken from the room with their teachers and escorted to the gymnasium. They're all safe in there. They're actually in there with counselors and officers. They're cutting up a little bit, making fun of each other, and it's good to see them laughing. I want to make sure that they're okay. I just came back and briefed the mayor on what we had, and I went up and talked to a crowd that we had up the street, and understandably so. They're very concerned. You know, what we did have about 2 o'clock this afternoon, there was a gunshot inside the school here at Rich Neck Elementary. We have an adult female, a teacher, who has been transported to a local hospital where she's undergoing treatment. She is considered critical right now. As we continue, we have officers there giving us updates on how she's doing there. It's important to me. But the number one thing right now is to get these kids back with their parents. Like I said, the school is completely secure at this point. It was cleared with our SWAT team and officers, but in a very deliberate but orderly fashion. I don't want to alert those children.
We are ensuring that everyone is safe. We are ensuring that everyone is accounted for. They're going to be in the cafeteria right now, and people are being escorted out to their parents.
Now, police say the shooting was not accidental. School shootings plague the U.S. with recent tragedies, including the killing last May of 19 children and 2 teachers in Uvalde, Texas, by an 18-year-old gunman. There were an estimated 44,000 gun-related deaths in the U.S. last year, about half of them murder cases, accidents, and self-defense, and half of them suicides, according to Gun Violence Archive database. In tonight's other news, President Marcos apologized to passengers affected by the air traffic system outage at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport last New Year's Day. The president went to NAIA for an inspection there. He discussed with transportation officials the government's move to ensure that there will be no repeat of the system outage. Take a look.
I'm sorry, of course, we have to apologize to our kababayans who, especially those who came from abroad. Dahil limitado ang kanilang bakasyon, nawala yung 2-3 araw eh. We are planning already on the future redundancies for the system. So kung meron mangyari ulit na ganito, meron tayong kaagad na kapalit. Hindi na tayo aabot ng 6 na oras. Siguro mahaba na yung ilang minuto lang. And beyond that is to have a proper backup system so that if the whole system fails, like it did on January 1, we have a complete system ready to go. Yun lamang, that might take a little time, but that is something that we will try to fast track as quickly as possible. And then, of course, what do we need to do in the long term to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Certainly, especially not at the high traffic season like happened to us in January 1.
Now, more than 360 flights in and out of Manila were canceled, diverted, or delayed, affecting around 56,000 passengers. The outage hit as many people began returning to the capital for work and school after the New Year break. Meanwhile, President Marcos Jr. also assured the public that health authorities are monitoring closely the Omicron subvariant XBB.1.5. In an interview after his ocular inspection of Ninoy Aquino International Airport, the president said the government is not letting its guard down over concerns about new COVID variants, adding that the country is still in the same status. Take a look.
Pa rin, we are still in the same status at mukha naman kagaya ng mga bagong variant ng mga pumapasok dito na mga dumadating, binabantayan natin ang husto. Like before, I've always looked at the hospitals and the occupancy rate. Kasi I start to worry pagka yung ospital ay hindi na kaya tanggapin ng pasyente dahil punong-puno na sila. Wala pa tayo ron. What has happened, nag-increase ang occupancy rate ng mga ospital dahil yung mga hindi nagpa-ospital ng 2 taon, ngayon pumupunta sa ospital. It's not for COVID, it's for other things. So we're watching it, of course, very closely. But so far, mukha namang maayos, mukha namang ma-manage natin.
At present, the Philippines is still free of this more transmissible subvariant of the Omicron COVID-19 virus. The Department of Health on Tuesday said it is confident in its ability to detect new variants of COVID and assured Filipinos of the government's continued surveillance and monitoring efforts. Meanwhile, the Department of Health officer in charge, Maria Rosario Vergere, said they don't see any need yet to impose tighter restrictions on travelers coming from China. The decision, Vergere said, has been consulted with experts, and protocols that are being implemented at the moment are still effective. Take a look.
Wala pa po tayo nakikitang rason based on science and evidence that we should add additional restrictions. Kailangan po nating tignan ang kabuuan ng sitwasyon at hindi lang natin i-focus ang ating pag-iisip at saka pagdedesisyon sa China. Dahil alam naman po natin na yung interaction between and among the different populations across the globe has happened already. Nakikita natin na not just in China but also in other parts of the country or the world, meron na pong nadidetect na mga ganitong variant. Dito po sa ating bansa, nagsimula pa ng July, nadetect na po itong variant which has affected China. And ito naman, nakita natin, hindi mo siya ganung umakyat yung mga numero ng kaso na nadetect natin. What we are doing so far is to heighten our surveillance. At yan po ang ating ginawa. Nagpalabas po kami ng order bago po mag-isa ang bagong taon, kung saan tayo po ay nagbigay ng order sa ating mga border units na pag-igtingin ang ating surveillance. And by doing that, we were able to capture through our usual protocols ito pong mga nai-report na natin na nagpositibo sa antigen who are partially or not vaccinated at all na mga Pilipino na pumasok na galing po sa bansang China. So again, let me reiterate, hindi mo nakikita ng Department of Health at naikonsulta din natin ito sa ating mga eksperto yung pangangailangan natin na dagdagan po natin ang restrictions specifically just for China.
Now, to prevent COVID from spreading, European nations, United States, India, United Kingdom, Japan, and Australia have all announced stricter measures on travelers from China. The World Health Organization senior epidemiologist Maria Van Kerkhove said XBB.1.5 is the most transmissible Omicron subvariant that has been detected so far. It spreads rapidly because of the mutations it contains, allowing it to adhere to cells and replicate easily. Let's learn more.
XBB.1.5 has been detected in 29 countries so far. There may be more as sequencing becomes less and less available at a global level. It's difficult for us to track each of these subvariants of Omicron. Our concern is how transmissible it is. It does have immune escape like we've seen with XBB, but it is one of another subvariant of Omicron that is in circulation. And the more this virus circulates, the more opportunities it will have to change. We do expect further waves of infection around the world, but that doesn't have to translate into further waves of death because our countermeasures continue to work. We do note that there is increasing hospitalizations have been reported in the northeast part of the U.S., where approximately 70% or so, I should check the exact data, of sequences that are available from that part of the country are XBB.1.5. What you have to also note is that there are many other respiratory viruses that are in circulation, not just COVID-19 that is increasing around the world. We've just had the holidays, so many people came together, and so we expect transmission to increase. That will result in increasing hospitalizations. We do also have influenza that is in circulation and other pathogens that are in circulation. So we can't attribute the increase in hospitalizations to XBB.1.5 yet, but we are working with U.S. CDC colleagues closely, and we have asked them for a detailed risk assessment of XBB.1.5 as well.
In tonight's other news, the United States announced a major military assistance package for Ukraine that is valued at more than $3 billion and includes 50 Bradleys and dozens of other armored vehicles. Now, this assistance, $2.85 billion, drawn from U.S. inventories and $225 million in foreign military financing, does not include advanced Western tanks sought by Kiev, but will still provide significant additional firepower for its forces. Let's listen in.
Today's announcement, the largest security assistance package in total value that we have committed so far, reflects our enduring commitment to support Ukraine. This package includes the authorization of presidential drawdown of equipment from U.S. inventories valued at up to $2.85 billion. And it includes an additional $225 million in foreign military financing to contribute to the long-term capacity and modernization of Ukraine's military. So let me highlight some of the capabilities included in this package. First, as President Biden announced yesterday, we are committing 50 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles with 500 TOW anti-tank missiles and 250,000 rounds of 25mm ammunition. The Bradley vehicles will further enhance Ukraine's ability to conduct complex maneuvers in almost all weather conditions and terrain, especially in the south and the east of the country. The Bradley is a tracked armored vehicle that is agile, provides mounted firepower, and is a significant anti-armor capability. This complements a series of armor commitments by the United States and our allies. These include a French commitment of AMX-10 light tanks, a German commitment of Marder infantry fighting vehicles, both announced this week, as well as a recent joint U.S.-Netherlands commitment to provide upgraded T-72 tanks. This package also includes 100 M113 armored personnel carriers, 55 mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, or MRAPs, and another 130.
Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hailed the new package as timely and strong. It brings total U.S. military assistance since Russia invaded in February 2022 to more than $24.2 billion. Germany also said that it would follow the U.S. in sending a Patriot missile battery to Ukraine, meaning Kiev's forces are slated to receive 2 of the advanced air defense systems. Ukraine has long pushed for heavier weaponry, including including tanks that would aid its operations. Western nations have been reluctant to send them, citing fears of becoming further drawn into the war or provoking Russia. Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen visited a military base to observe drills, while rival China protested the passage of a U.S. Navy destroyer through the Taiwan Strait, as tensions between the sides showed no sign of abating in the new year.
我要再次强调，共军持续不断的军事活动，无助于两岸关系，也无助于区域的和平稳定。面对威权主义不断的扩张，唯有持续强化国家的战力跟韧性，我们才能够确保国家安全和利益。
Self-ruled Taiwan lives under constant threat of Chinese invasion. Communist Party rulers claim the island as part of China's territory, and they vow to seize it one day by force, if necessary. Along with observing the display by an Army mechanized infantry battalion, Tsai visited the Air Force's 4th Tactical Fighter Wing, whose pilots are largely responsible for intercepting Chinese military aircraft approaching the midline of the Taiwan Strait. China's attempts to intimidate Taiwan militarily have risen to new heights in recent months. It raised concerns in Washington that Beijing is growing closer to using force. Last month, China sent a record-breaking 71 planes and 7 ships toward Taiwan in a 24-hour display of force after expressing anger at Taiwan-related provisions in a U.S. annual defense spending bill. And as severe weather heads towards Northern California, just as the state is trying to recover from this week's storms. Take a look. Now, Reuters reports that the coming storm, another atmospheric river of dense moisture flowing in from the Pacific, is likely to dump several more inches of rain on a region already saturated from repeated downpours since late December. It renewed risks of flash flooding and mudslides, according to the National Weather Service. 15 million remain under flood watches. The next storm will arrive with heavy rain and by early Sunday, tonight and by early Sunday. Yet another powerful Pacific storm will sweep in. Widespread flooding and damaging winds could last into early next week. The storms come after a near-record rainfall over recent weeks. On New Year's Eve, parts of Northern California were lashed by a storm that caused landslides and power outages. At least one person is known to have died after being trapped in a submerged car. San Francisco recorded almost 5.5 inches of rain on December 31, and that is the city's second wettest day in recorded history. While it's difficult to draw a straight line to this storm from human-caused climate change, scientists are saying a warmer planet brings more unstable weather with more ferocious storms as well as longer, hotter, dry periods. And one of the world's most active volcanoes has burst into life again in Hawaii a month after it stopped erupting. Take a look. Fountains of lava spewed out of Kilauea, flooding the crater at its peak with molten rock. Now, the agency upgraded the volcano's alert level from watch to warning and said it was evaluating possible hazards. So far, the eruption has been contained to the crater. Scientists at the USGS said the first stirrings were recorded on Thursday afternoon when occasionally intense sprays of lava gushed through the crater floor, the result of a month of pent-up energy. Most recently, Kilauea erupted between September 2021 and last month. In November, another eruption on Hawaii's Big Island from Mauna Loa, the world's largest active volcano, came after a series of large earthquakes. It was its first eruption in 38 years. A month later, the USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory said Mauna Loa's eruptions had ceased. Kilauea is much smaller than Mauna Loa, but is far more active and regularly wows helicopter-riding tourists who come to see its red-hot shows on Hawaii's Big Island. Now, the current eruption poses no immediate danger to communities, according to the USGS, although they warn that large volumes of volcanic gas, particularly sulfur dioxide, could have an effect. And the news continues here on Eagle News. We'll be back.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. May lalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Together, walang talo pag together, let's stand together. Sanem 25.
Sanem, hindi ko talaga maintindihan ang ginagawa mo.
Hindi dapat ako nangingialam sa private life mo, kaya ikaw rin dapat hindi nangingialam.
Matindi yata ang misunderstanding ni Sanem at Chan. Pero nang dahil kay Metin,
Boss Chan?
Sanem?
Mapipilitan sina Chan at Sanem na magtrabaho together. Oo.
Pag together, let's stand together. Sanem 25.
Manong Chavit Singson! Wow! Naging embalsamador ka pa.
Ay, yes. Nag-aaral na ako para makapirma lang sa death certificate.
Nag-flatline ka
Flatline.
na? Nawala na ng tibok ang puso?
Wala na. Namatay na ako. Flat.
Ilang beses pinagtangkaan ang buhay mo, Manong Chavit?
Actual, 7 times.
Hindi ka tinatamaan ng takot sa ganun?
At that time, wala. Pero ngayon, siguro takot na ako.
Good son, good father, good lover.
Good father, good lover.
Chick boy ka ba?
Kumisan.
Mahirap ba ang maraming anak? What is the secret to a long life? Ano napapaligaya sa'yo? Ano ang pinakamahal na iniregalo mo sa isang tao? Gaano ka nakayaman?
Baka huli na akong biyayaran ng sabi ko.
Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo pag together, let's stand together. Sanem 25.
Ang ingay niyo, hindi ko naiintindihan yung palabas. Kasalanan mo rin yan.
Eh, ngayon ka lang dumating, patapos na, oh.
Tapos.
Papa ko!
Sandali! Anak ko to eh! Ba't yung... Balik niyo! Hoy! Sina!
Moonlight!
Moonwalk! Action! Correct. Hindi pintuan to eh.
Oo, ginawang bakery dati to eh.
Welcome back. Jack Ma, the unconventional billionaire founder of tech giant Alibaba and the totem of China's entrepreneurial brilliance, has stepped out of the limelight since the Communist Party crackdown that chopped back his empire. Now, Mr. Ma has been or has seen his fortune fall by around half to an estimated $25 billion after authorities pulled what would then have been the world's biggest ever IPO in 2020. Chinese regulators torched the planned listing of Ma's Ant Group in Hong Kong and Shanghai, and the following year hit Alibaba with a record $2.75 billion fine for alleged unfair practices. A reshuffle of Ant's shareholding structure will now see Ma cede control of the fintech giant he founded in 2014. He will hold just 6.2% of the voting rights as the company moves to ensure no shareholder alone or jointly with other parties will have control over Ant Group, the firm said in a statement on Saturday. Now, Reuters reported in April 2021 that Ant was exploring options for Mr. Ma to divest his stake in Ant and give up control. Flexible working arrangements like those introduced during the COVID-19 crisis are not only good for employees, but also boost productivity and potentially a business's bottom line, according to the United Nations on Friday. Take a look.
I have a new report issued today by the International Labour Organization shows that the COVID-19 crisis measures yielded powerful new evidence that giving workers more flexibility in how, where, and when they work can be positive for both them and for businesses. Conversely, restricting flexibility brings substantial costs, including increased staff turnover.
In its first report focusing on work-life balances, the UN's International Labour Organization evaluated the effects of working time, working hours, and working time arrangements on the well-being of staff and also on business performance. The report examines the crisis performance or the crisis response measures governments and businesses used as the pandemic spread, aimed at keeping organizations functioning and workers employed. And it found that the larger proportion of workers on reduced hours helped to prevent job losses. And it determined that the large-scale implementation of telework put in place around the world had changed not only teleworking, but also the nature of employment, most likely for the unforeseeable future. And one of the world's biggest tech shows is happening this week in Las Vegas. Anna Cui shows us what's new from the 2023 Consumer Electronics Show. Anna.
CES, otherwise known as the world's largest technology trade show, kicks off Thursday here at the Las Vegas Convention Center. According to CES organizer Consumer Technology Association, or CTA, this year's show has 2,800 confirmed exhibitors from around the world, up from 2,200 the previous year. Attendance is expected to reach 100,000 this year, more than double of that last year. With the easing of COVID travel restrictions worldwide, this year's event is looking more like normal, with more exhibitors and attendees filling up the show floors. According to CTA organizers, participation from Asia here at CES 2023 remains strong, particularly from Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. And with the recent change in their zero-COVID policy, more Chinese companies are able to travel to the U.S. and will have more exhibitors this year, according to CES list of exhibitors. It's worth noting that CTA requires attendees from China to provide a negative COVID test. The latest innovation in the auto industry, electronics, smart urban transportation, smart city, and the metaverse are just some of the features we see represented from the Asian region. South Korea's Hyundai Mobis unveils a new convergence technology optimized for purpose-built vehicle.
We have our vision eye sensor there. Now that houses our PMTS, or our pedestrian motion tracking sensor. You'll see these eye-safe lights are now guiding pedestrians around the vehicle so that they have safe passage. It's hard to hear, but it's also saying, please walk safely.
Japan's Panasonic, which was missed at CES 2022, is back this year, showcasing their commitment to transform the future through their ongoing innovations in line with their Green Impact Initiative, committing to reduce carbon emissions globally. From health tech to mobility and clean energy, there's definitely much more to see here at the largest consumer technology trade show. From CES 2023 here at the Las Vegas Convention Center, Anna Kui, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Thanks, Anna. And as Anna said, Metaverse and AI are still in the spotlight at the Consumer's Electronics Show, the world's biggest tech show that will threw open its doors in Las Vegas last Thursday, as the industry now looks to the latest innovations to help cure the pain from an ailing global economy. Let's take a look at some gadgets.
That CES is back big time because we're expecting over 100,000 trade professionals from over 100 countries. And in terms of the show floor, over 2.2 million net square feet of space will be at CES. So a positively big show, lots of innovation from around the world. Well, any conversation about metaverse these days is very likely to be met with skepticism. And I do think that the term metaverse still is somewhat speculative in nature. However, metaverse is a real trend, much the same as the internet was a real trend back in the early 1990s. We didn't know a lot about it. And the same is true with metaverse. In tech, we may see layoffs, but across the economy, whatever sector it is, businesses and commercial enterprises are finding it hard to get workers, especially skilled workers. So profoundly, I think 20 years ago, technology was the nice to have for business. It's like, oh, wow, you've got a website. That's great. 20 years ago. These days, humans are the nice to have, and technology has the answer. I think that's how we close that gap. AI is certainly a tool that's helping us advance, and really, at the end of the day, along with advanced connectivity like 5G, is how technology is helping to address the world's greatest challenges. And as humans, we have a lot of challenges. So AI is being used in a lot of different ways. Again, this is another horizontal technology, really from medicine to entertainment to agriculture, manufacturing, logistics. Predictive analytics, natural language processing are empowering new innovations, new technologies for saving lives and for making life better.
So people are looking for a new platform that comes after mobile. We're all used to having everything on our phones, and certain companies like Apple and Google are very well established there. But what's next? So the metaverse or augmented or virtual reality could be some platform that does new things for us. What does it actually do? What's it actually useful for? Right, company that used to be Facebook is really looking for a platform that it can control and then sell ads against, because Apple has reduced its ability to charge for personalized advertising. Other companies are looking at it as a way to provide human connection, whether that's in working productive office environments or just connecting with someone else in a way that's a little bit more immersive than a video call. AI is also a technology that goes into many other things. So AI really is used in your camera on your phone today. AI is used in factories to identify defects in products and push them off the line. AI is used by big agricultural providers to identify what's a weed and let's spray that with chemicals, and what's a plant, let's spray that with water. So AI is real. It's here. So some of the big tech firms are cutting back, and they're laying off some of the staff that aren't doing core functions for their particular companies and brands. Now, the good news is what we've seen are that a lot of the people who've been laid off from big tech are finding jobs everywhere else, because the rest of the business world has been starved for technical talent, and they need people to work on their websites, to work on their cloud services, to work on their AI projects. And so it's a retrenching amongst the largest tech companies.
Staying at the CES, given that audio is essential to blind people, here's a French startup showcasing a dynamic 3D sound technology for guidance, replacing the vocal instructions of navigation applications with music. Here's Run Blind co-founder Slivan Ferran. Take a look.
Et je suis simplement guidé par ma musique et c'est très naturel en fait. C'est comme s'il y avait quelqu'un qui était devant moi, qui jouait de la musique et qui me précède et je le suis. Ce qui fait que je n'ai pas besoin de me concentrer en réalité pour me déplacer, pour suivre une bonne trajectoire. En fait, c'est quelque chose que les personnes non-voyantes font assez régulièrement pour rester par exemple sur un trottoir, c'est suivre la personne qui est devant eux en écoutant le bruit des pas. On a vu aussi des cas d'usage où il y avait des gens qui faisaient du roller, une personne non-voyante qui peut faire du roller et puis qui suit un coach. Ça fonctionne pour la course à pied, dans le sport pour les non-voyants. Il y a aussi des cas où le coach est devant, frappe des mains ou fait du bruit et ils se suivent comme ça.
Meanwhile, U.S. company Displace presents at the CES Tech Fair what they claim is the world's first wireless television that sticks to the wall and runs on batteries. Take a look.
This is Displace TV. This is the world's first truly wireless television. No cords, no ports of any kind. So if you're thinking about how is this powered, this is powered by our proprietary 4-hot swappable battery system. One of the biggest drawbacks of flat screen TVs is the cords. Like, it looks great on a wall, but it just doesn't look good when you've got cords hanging down from your TV. Not only that, but if you get a new flat screen TV, now you have to worry about mounting it, and that's a separate installation, that's damage to your wall. There are 2 pucks on the back of the TV that form a tight vacuum seal to whatever surface it's attached to. So you can attach Displace TV to any type of flat surface. It can be a window, it can be a wall, it can be a slanted surface as it is behind you. Drywall with some spackle is fine. We've done most of our testing on drywall and it's gone great. There's the click.
Meanwhile, Samsung presented its latest innovations before the official opening of the CES Tech Fair in Las Vegas. Let's take a look.
And I'm sure it sounds a little strange to have artificial intelligence in laundry. But if you really think about it, when you do laundry every day, it's kind of a question. Am I putting enough detergent? How much should I use? Are my clothes really getting clean? And one of the interesting things that we're doing is bringing in AI into our bespoke laundry. Because we have an auto dispense system that can automatically dispense the right amount of detergent, we can take advantage of that, and with some special sensors that we have inside, we can tell how large the load is. We can determine the fabric type and even monitor the soil level, and we can make adjustments during the wash cycle to ensure it's getting clean every time.
But it's not only beautiful on the outside, it's also smart on the inside. So it actually has a camera built into it, so you can actually see what is cooking without actually opening the door. The camera is actually also paired with an AI system, so it recognizes the food, and then it recommends temperatures and time settings based off of what you're cooking. It actually recommends that.
So with Gaming Hub, essentially, you don't need a gaming console or a PC to enjoy your games. All you need is an internet connection and then a controller, like an Xbox controller, for example, that connects through Bluetooth to the TV.
Now, South Korean giant Samsung unveiled a new lineup of televisions along with kitchen appliances infused with artificial intelligence to work with other connected devices and online platforms. LG Electronics, meanwhile, rolled out an OLED television it touted as the first wire-free and voice-commanded TV for the consumer market. Amid the economic gloom, companies at CES looking to woo consumers will need to make sure prices appeal to people struggling with inflation and perhaps a bit of worry of living online during the pandemic. And at the Las Vegas show, where our correspondent Anna Cui tells us about the first electric school bus in Nevada, which it will use to replace diesel-powered school buses in an effort to improve air quality in school communities. Anna.
The Clark County School District here in Las Vegas operates the largest district-owned bus fleet in the nation. Today, they unveiled the first 2 new electric school buses purchased under the EPA's Clean School Bus program. Funding for the electric bus was made possible by a grant from Nevada Energy and the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection. It is worth noting that the Clark County School District, or CCSD, was awarded more than $9 million from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA's Clean School Bus program to purchase new electric buses and infrastructure. Superintendent Dr. Jesus Jara said the CCSD is continuously looking for ways to improve student outcomes inside and outside the classroom.
For me, it's an honor that we get to try this out. It's different ways, innovation. Our kids are innovating. Our kids are learning different. We can't continue to do the same old just because that's the way we've always done it.
Currently, CCSD's bus fleet of 1,924 covers 1,500 routes, transporting around 125,000 students daily. The transition to electric bus will cut the district's operating cost, saving approximately $60 a day in fuel costs per bus, with an expected charging cost of about $10 per day at current rates. School officials said this electric bus will get around 100 miles on a single charge, and it will start transporting students in the coming weeks. Officials also talked about what is to come with the program.
There's 24 or 25 new buses coming with the EPA funding for an electric school bus vehicle to grid trial, and we're really excited to see what the future of batteries can do for future decarbonization and renewable energy integration here in Southern Nevada.
According to the EPA, the program will help school districts around the nation to purchase over 2,400 electric school buses that will help in the transition to zero-emission vehicles and also to produce cleaner air in and around schools and communities. Anna Cree, Las Vegas, Nevada, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Now, Marvel actor Jeremy Renner gave another update on his recovery following his New Year's Day snowplow accident. Earlier, the police gave an update on what happened in his accident. Let's take a look back.
The subject had been run over by a snowcat in the area of Mount Rose Highway. At 8:57, Washoe County Dispatch advised some units, and they started en route. Based on our investigation, Mr. Renner's personal vehicle, which was being driven by a family member, had become stuck in the snow near his home. Mr. Renner went to retrieve his piston bully, or snowcat, an extremely large piece of snow removal equipment weighing at least 14,330 pounds, in an effort to get his vehicle moving. After successfully towing his personal vehicle from its stuck location, Mr. Renner got out of his piston bully to speak to his family member. At this point, it was observed that the piston bully started to roll. In an effort to stop the rolling piston bully, Mr. Renner attempts to get back into the driver's seat of the piston bully. Based on our investigation, it's at this point that Mr. Renner is run over by the piston bully. An eyewitness detailed seeing Mr. Renner getting into the piston bully and not seeing him again until the piston bully came to a rest in a pile of snow in front of his driveway. At this point in the investigation, we do not believe Mr. Renner was impaired at all, and we believe this is a tragic accident. The Washoe County Sheriff's Office is in possession of his piston bully, and we are analyzing it to rule out any potential mechanical failure of why it may have started to roll.
Now, the piston bully, or snowcat, operated by Renner, is a large, specialized snow plowing vehicle with giant race caterpillar tracks on each side of an enclosed cab. Now, on Friday, January 6th, the Hawkeye actor posted an image of his Instagram story surrounded by hospital staff alongside a message of gratitude. And it said, "Thank you, renowned medical ICU team, for beginning this journey." This he wrote alongside with the image of with a series of prayer emojis beneath the photo. The post also comes a day before the actor celebrates his 52nd birthday. Now, K-pop idol group BTS member Jin underwent a painful chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear, or CBRN, training in the Army. Take a look. On January 6, the Korean Army's 5th Infantry Division Recruit Training Center released photos of Jin undergoing CBRN training. Korean media reported that the photo was taken after Jin came out of the chemical and biological room. Under this training, soldiers are tasked to wear gas masks and enter the chemical and biological room. BTS is widely considered the country's biggest ever cultural phenomenon, selling out stadiums around the world and dominating the charts while raking in billions and building a global legion of fans known as armies. But all able-bodied men in South Korea must serve at least 18 months in the military. And while there was a years-long debate about whether BTS deserved an exemption, they confirmed in October that all members will enlist. And finally, in our news, towering ice sculptures and fireworks feature once again as China kicked off its annual ice festival in Harbin. Take a look.
树各方面也非常漂亮，就感觉特别神奇，怎么弄那么高？
游客照前2年还是多一点，因为放开以后游客来的特别多，比往年多点，有信心的，游客们还是非常期待的。哈尔滨的那个冰雪文化还是特别的知名度非常高。
各方面也非常漂亮，就感觉特别神奇，怎么弄那么高？
And as always, I'll end the day on a thoughtful note. Our ability to look back and smile at our past is proof that God's plan is to keep us moving forward. This has been Eagle News International. I'm Alma Angeles. Stay alert, stay informed, because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.